Really proud of our fight and continue to compete at a high level, and just got to find a way to help these young men get over the hump. And four very disappointing losses. That's difficult, but I'm really encouraged by what I see in their preparation again this week to go and play Arkansas on the road.
All right, first up today, we have Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Good morning, Hugh. I'm wondering, when you look at Bobby Petrino offense, what are the characteristics you see in it and the role that the offensive line is playing, particularly this year? And correct me if I'm wrong, but will this be just the second time you faced a Bobby Petrino offense?
Oh, gosh. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I know the characteristics of it real well, and that is multiplicity, particularly with the way he formations and uses his tight ends, and they're very active. Normally, when somebody's 12 personnel or something, there's some high tendencies, not with them. They equally can throw explosive plays out of that, as well as run the football. And his just different presentations for the way he does all of his stuff. He's a very talented play caller, and obviously the quarterback being able to extend plays makes it even more difficult.
And then looking at your road results this year, you got the win at Baylor, but very competitive in the SEC. The road.
Well, I think our kids prepare and our staff prepares really well, and I think our talent level has closed the gap since we've been here with some of the elite teams, like we've played on the road with Oklahoma and A&M, and even in the Georgia and Missouri game for really good football teams. And I think we've proven we belong in those games. We just we find ways to not make the critical plays at the critical moments, whether last week it'd be the drops or the missed field goals or a tough break here and there. It's just been kind of I don't know that I've ever experienced 4 straight games like that where you're really, really proud of the competitive spirit and the way your kids played outside of take 5 plays, and that's the margin is so small between winning and losing when you're playing good football teams, and we've got to find a way to be more consistent in those moments.
Next, we'll go to Nathan King of Auburn Undercover.
Hey, Hugh, I wanted to ask about Deuce. As you guys have evaluated the quarterback position this week, is he at all in consideration to maybe get some playing time or be in that competition? I guess, how has he handled that recently, and how has he looked recently?
Yeah, Deuce is he's handled everything extremely well to be so talented and young, and knows his time is coming. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, we will have all 3 ready to play, including Deuce and Ashton and Jackson.
Next will be Jackson Fuller of the Times Record.
Good morning, Hugh. You kind of talked about Taylen Green over there in your first answer, but it seems like when teams blitz him, it's a lot of boom or bust. You can sack him for a big loss, or he can escape and get down the field. What's the biggest key to containing him, in the pocket, making sure when you do get pressure, he doesn't escape?
I wish I had that exact answer, because if you can contain him in the pocket, I think that's your best chance of slowing them down and winning the football game. But many have tried, and some have had some success, but ultimately he's athletic enough that he's going to hurt you at some point. We just got to hope that those times that he does, it's not super explosive plays, and we're able to cage him and contain him and try to keep him in the pocket, which is a big challenge. He's is about as elusive. He's a different runner. He's a long strider, but man, really fast and can get around the edge probably as well as any I've seen. And so we'd like to certainly cage him and keep him within the pocket.
And what have you seen from the Arkansas offensive line this season? That unit seems like it's made a lot of strides from last year when y'all played them.
Yeah, they're playing solid, and got a couple veterans up there for sure, and got a really good running back too that makes them look good. Sometimes even if they don't sustain the blocks at times, which happens in every offensive line because these D lines in this league are going to win some of those battles. But good backs make O lines even better, and so I think their line is playing at a higher level, and I think they got two quality backs.
Next will be Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Hey, Coach, as you prepare to face Arkansas's defense, I'm curious, if at all, how they're different the last 2 weeks since they've made all the staff changes on that side of the ball.
Yeah, this is a little difficult, I guess you'd say, in that we truthfully have a 2-game sample. They're some of the same. They played Tennessee quite differently than they played A&M, so I don't know what that means for us. And they've been 4 down primarily, and then all of a sudden they started playing some mint front also. So it's coverage wise, they typically have been a man team in the past. I see a lot of that in the A&M game, not as much in the Tennessee game. So it's kind of hard to really know until we really kick it off, kind of what their plan's going to be with the small sample size that we have.
Thanks, Coach.
Next, we'll go to Peter Atticus of AL.com.
The quarterbacks, you mentioned earlier this week that both Jackson and Ashton were getting a lot of reps. How would that look at the start of this week's practice?
I don't know if it's me or I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah, Peter, you the second half of your question kind of zoned out. If you could repeat that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think
Very
so.
low.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying, you mentioned earlier this week about Ashton and Jackson both getting reps. How has that looked through the first few days of practice leading into this game?
Both have looked really good and preparing well, like they always do. And, Jackson's looked like $1 million at the start of the last 2 games. And you're just hopeful that we can get a game that is consistent with that. Ashton is ready to go, as is Deuce. And we'll just have to see how the game goes. Hopefully Jackson can get us off to a fast start like he's done the last 2 games and maybe continue that.
Coach, we'll wrap you up with Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Coach, appreciate the time. Hope you're doing well today, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Is that the most frustrating part? Are not being there for practice during the week of what are you not seeing most on Saturdays that you are seeing during the week, Coach?
Yeah, it's I know that we can fix the things that are. There's times, we look incredibly understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, and on both sides, really. Defensively it's played more consistently than offensively, and then there's times, we choose to play with the wrong leverage, and then there's times like last week we have some uncharacteristic drops, and then there's times in the second half where we may not protect quite long enough, or we miss the hot throw or the open throw, and it's just it's a mixture. And obviously some of it is, I made a really bad call on 3rd and goal last week with a freshman center in there that I've got to make sure I know that everybody can do what we're asking them to do, and then we've got to be able to execute it. And so I'm seeing that in practice, obviously, or we wouldn't feel comfortable calling it in a game. We just got to get the carryover to be more consistent.